Welcome to the MacGuffin Movie Club podcast. Today is March 28th of 2024, and we're a mere 35 days away from the release of Yorgos Lanthimos' next film, Kinds of Kindness, which just had a teaser drop yesterday, and I've watched probably 10 times now.
Yeah, I saw it once. It's a great teaser. Hold on, I'm gonna check.
Very much.
I think I might have reverb on by accident.
It is so relieving to see like a director like him have enough of a budget to like make a big weird fantasy movie, and then less than 12 months later put out like this his first like kind of more normal film, I guess, since like not taking place in a period piece like The Favorite or like a bizarre bizarro world like The Lobster, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it still could be a bizarro world. I feel like we don't know yet. I'm always surprised by him, so. At
this point, though, and just the ensemble cast as well is so perfect. I love seeing Hunter Schafer.
Yeah, it's awesome.
She's also going to be in Cuckoo, which looks fun.
Yeah,
do you know anything about that one?
I've just seen the one still of her with the bandage on her head. The trailer comes out next week. So
does it?
Yeah, I saw that 15 minutes ago.
Hell yeah, that's. I guess I never introduced myself. I'm Dylan Olive. My link to Twitter and Letterboxd will be in the description of this episode, with Keaton, whose Instagram and Letterboxd will be in the description of this. And you also have your short film that came out recently. I guess you can plug that if you want.
It's linked in my Instagram bio. It's a short I made for my class at school, with a friend and a bunch of theater people, and I'm pretty proud of it, so check it out. It's called The Understudy.
Yeah.
It's a little thriller type thing.
It is super cool. I am glad that you made that. I want to start filming mine soon because I have everything. I just need to commit to actually doing it. In fact, I know someone who works in film and has access to sets and just a studio space that I could probably use because my dad is friends with him, and so I might be able to do that. That could be very cool.
What's the pitch for it?
Oh no, not like a producer or anything. Just somebody who's a friend of my parents.
Yeah, I mean
for your
thing. Short, yeah.
Oh, it's actually, have I not told you about it? I
don't think you have.
It's a horror that is primarily in one room, or it's supposed to be the person staying in one room, and so that's pretty easy, but it's like a room with no windows and no light, and about a person getting very sleepy, and it's a metaphor for depression, and then I've got a bunch of great ideas for these practical effects that I want to do, and it gets really weird and gory and conceptual.
That sounds rad.
And I have someone who wants to do the music for it, who makes music. Anyway, I haven't actually made that, so who knows? I think also I don't have any article or anything pulled up, but I think also Ari Aster's next film is going to take place during the initial COVID lockdown.
Yeah, but it's also a Western. I know.
Interesting.
It seems also really interesting, and I'm glad that he's not doing something that's horror, or maybe it is, and that's just not revealed yet. But it's going to be an interesting turn for him.
Especially after Beau is Afraid, I feel like at this point anything is possible. I'm surprised he's making movies so soon after that, after being such a financial flop. But I don't mind. Obviously, I like that one.
Yeah, I thought that one got a little too much flack. I think that's an interesting movie.
Yeah. I don't blame someone for not being into it, but it's
it's a very flawed movie, hate it. But it's interesting.
I wish it got some Oscar noms, though. Oh, yeah, the Oscars happened.
Oh, yeah.
I guess we should talk about that. Martin Scorsese did not win a single thing.
Yes.
When was the last time he won an Oscar?
The Departed, I think was the last time.
And that was it?
I think so, yeah. I mean, like, actors have always won. Like, Pesci won for Goodfellas and De Niro won for Raging Bull. But,
Okay, yeah.
and Newman won for Color of Money. But, like, other than that, yeah, that was an interesting one. And I think there was some performance that probably deserved it over him, but it was like a legacy award. I don't know.
Sure.
There was, yeah. But The Departed was the only time he'd won anything himself. And Thelma Schoonmaker, whatever you say, I think she's won.
Oh my God, yes,
a bunch. And that that was a insane snub.
I think it is crazy that she didn't get the award over the editor of Oppenheimer. I wouldn't be able to tell you the name, but to me that
Jennifer something is her name.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, I think also like on Twitter, some people were like, "Wow, this person's edited a lot of great films." I saw someone say that. I don't remember exactly. What else happened at the Oscars? Lily Gladstone lost to Emma Stone, which is very silly. That's so silly of them to do that.
It's a very wacky decision.
That's so silly. I loved seeing her reaction to that.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like, what must have been going through her head at that point? Like, so much. Oh, God. And then Al Pacino was funnier than anything Jimmy Kimmel said all night.
Yeah.
Because he was just like, and Oppenheimer. And that was...
I loved Al Pacino. People were shitting on him. That was my favorite part of the night.
I thought that was so funny.
After Lily Gladstone lost, and I was kind of pissed off, seeing him just walk on, like... I saw people were saying saying he was drunk. I think that's just how Al Pacino is, like...
Yeah, no, I think he's just an old man with a lot of medicine.
Yes, yeah. I saw this story, like, he has a younger wife, and someone was like, yeah, she's independently wealthy, and she gave an interview with someone, and was like, I don't need him for the money, I just really love him, he's a weird old guy. And that just, like, it makes me appreciate him so much, that he's just a genuinely, like, wacky guy. Yeah. Love Al.
I also saw a tweet that said, of course, he wouldn't be taking the Oscars seriously if his only award win was for Scent of a Woman.
Oh, yeah.
Which I haven't seen, but
I've seen
that is
clips,
a funny thing.
And it's, yeah. That's for someone like him that's given, like, 5 of my favorite performances, to have the one that's, like, probably wouldn't be remembered if he didn't win the Oscar win. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing.
As for the rest of the Oscars, I guess they were just the Oscars. Oppenheimer won a bunch of performances. Poor Things won a bunch more performances than I think people were expecting, which I'm very happy about, because it was going to be either Poor Things or Barbie for like the production awards, and so I'm glad that it went with the more sort of unique, different alternative art style than what a lot of people, myself including, were expected.
Yeah, I really thought they were just gonna give Barbie like production to throw it a bone, and they didn't. And I'm like, I think that's a cool decision. I also think the Zone of Interest wins were
my gosh, yes! I'm so glad that it won the audio award over Oppenheimer specifically. You know what I mean? Because I figured that was its biggest opponent in the field.
Because the Zone of Interest is like quiet sound design, and it's the entire movie is arguably in the sound, but like Oppenheimer is such a loud movie that I think it really did feel like a surprise when the best movie won. Also, Glazer gave a speech.
Oh yeah, him giving the speech and then getting backlash
to mention Gaza. Did he even say Gaza, or did he just allude?
He did mention Gaza. Okay. His speech, I think most of the like backlash to it was because people were specifically cutting off his quotation when he said, I disavow my Jewishness for being used for like perpetuating another genocide today. And people only took the first half and was like, wow, this person's, I don't know, self-hating, I guess.
Or there's that whole petition, which
which was literally just a Google form, a Google sheet that anyone could fill out.
There was someone named Roberto the Sea on there, River to the Sea, So yeah, like it was in Variety, like published the form. It was which was bullshit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the news.
That's the news.
As with Oscars, I'm trying to think of what happened like earlier on in the show because I feel like everything that was notable happened in the second half.
Yeah. Divine Joy Randolph.
Oh yeah,
which is a nice one,
dude. Divine Joy Randolph is not only an actress who is from Philadelphia, which is like where I am for the audience.
Yeah,
she is actually specifically from the same exact neighborhood that I grew up in.
Oh, hell yeah, that's awesome.
For the first like 15, 16 years of my life, which I'm not going to say for doxing reasons.
Don't dox yourself.
that was a super cool fun fact. So that made me want to cheer for her like double.
She went to Temple
I was already
too.
like, wait, what?
She went to Temple too. Like she's a very Philly based actor.
I don't know what projects she's doing next though.
Yeah, I don't know if she has anything on the on her schedule. Let me look now.
On the docket.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of like upcoming projects, I feel like there are only a couple other that I like really wanted to mention and get your take on. One of which was Spike Lee's High and Low, which was announced right before right after we finished recording the last episode. It's going to have Denzel Washington and Jeffrey Wright in it, and it's like the kind of thing that everybody on Twitter is excited about because those are three extremely, extremely talented people. But it's like, to me, it's just like, why would you want to remake that movie? I guess thematically,
I think
it would make sense for Spike Lee out of any director to make a film about, class, like High and Low, but
I'm excited for that movie. For like one, he's naming it Highest to the Lowest, which is
I thought that was
which
funny.
is awesome that they allowed him to do that. I think it like of any movie to be remade, I think that like High and Low is such a good frame story. Like I doubt they're gonna do the exact narrative beat, but like I think the fact that the police are in it and how much that has to play, I think there's a lot Spike Lee could do. And especially like, people are bringing up Old Boy as like, oh well, he's gonna butcher another Asian classic film, which is like, that's not how that works.
I guess he did Old Boy for the studio, like 'cause for a
it wasn't
for a
his
payment
project.
job. It's just hard.
Yeah,
it's hard to say if this is. I hope
this is definitely,
it's not going to be the same.
Yeah, because it's even if it's bad, it's going to be bad in an interesting way. Just because he wouldn't get Denzel to do like a studio movie, I feel like, or name a studio movie Highest to the Lowest. That's like a very like Spike Lee just doing what he wants to. So yeah, I'm just excited to see what happens. I don't know.
I sure hope a lot of people see the original because of this.
It's not going to be better than the original.
No, yeah,
it's like a masterpiece, but
it never could be, and so like, I don't know. I just hope it does its own thing.
Yes, that's best case scenario.
Oh, well, what was I going to compare it to? Oh, yeah, like the Scarface remake by Luca Guadagnino that isn't going to ever be made anymore, unfortunately. Like, that's what I think of as like an ideal remake, because he also remade Suspiria, and it's like, I would rather just like see new takes on movies that have like aged a lot, but I don't know. There isn't even anything more to say about that. I just hope it's good.
Yeah.
The only other like upcoming project that I wanted to mention was one that I haven't seen as many people talk about or like will be excited for it, but I feel like I'm weirdly excited about this. Like, this doesn't seem like something that would be up my alley, but Seth Rogen is writing and producing an R-rated Venom animated project, which I just so hope is good, because he was also a producer on The Boys and Invincible and the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. I think he was also the director for that, actually.
No, I don't think he was. I think he might have written it, but I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let me see.
Anyway, point is, an R-rated Venom thing that is animated, and it's by Sony Pictures, so maybe it'll look or like have a similar feeling to Spider-Verse. I hope it doesn't like go full IP multiverse shenanigans nonsense, but I think that has some potential to be like a cool thing. Something that's like a fun IP movie that's not like a total soulless cash grab.
Yeah, that sounds real. I didn't hear about that. That sounds really interesting. Like Seth Rogen is weirdly, like you said, one of the few people that's like trying to do interesting stuff with superhero movies and media in general. So that's really surprising. I think yeah. It's a movie, right? It's not a series.
Well, it doesn't specify, but it does say Sony Pictures. So I would imagine. I don't think Sony Pictures. Let me look if Sony Animation has done TV. Sony Picture Anime. Okay, yeah, they have done a couple TV series, but very few.
Yeah,
and like haven't given a lot of budget to any of them. So it's not like it's that's not likely. So that's kind of neat, and also because the other Sony Venom movies were only popular because the character is popular. You know what I mean? That's the only reason they got any success in the box office to begin with.
Did anyone like those movies? I don't think I've ever heard anyone say a good thing about those movies. Like,
really, a lot of people on Twitter love them.
Oh,
but like they're the same people that love, like Jingling Keys. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen a lot more support for the Venom movies than for like Madame Web or Morbius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's definitely more effort put into the Venom movies than those two.
Likely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I remember Woody Harrelson was in the second one. That's so funny to me still.
I just remember seeing clips of him and he was going off.
Yeah. I hope the third one has Eddie get pregnant. I'm pregnant, Venom. Oh, I'm pregnant with your alien child. Remember when it came out and there was like that Fortnite poster of it? Do you know what I'm talking about at all?
I have no clue what you're talking about.
Okay, never mind. We'll move on from this.
Yeah.
We'll move on from this. Movies that we've seen. Well, Letterboxd is down, so I can't pull that up. Oh yeah, for new film releases, obviously we've both seen Dune 2, but I guess for next episode we'll be talking about the two Dune movies.
Yeah, I think that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then also 1984 if I get around to seeing that one.
Yeah. I probably won't see that one, just as a...
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Right on. But for other new releases, the only ones that we've both seen, I'm pretty sure... Have you seen Love Lies Bleeding?
Not yet. I've been meaning to get around to it, but I just haven't.
It was great.
It looked incredible.
Yeah. Fun one to see in the theaters as well. Very much like a big theatrical thing, despite also being very small. But the one that we'll be talking about that we've both seen now is Drive Away Dolls by Ethan Coen, which I think is a pretty good movie, and also I think might be my least favorite Coen movie that I have seen so far, but I know you really liked it, so I want to hear your take on it.
So the only Coen movie I haven't seen is Macbeth, and I watched like the first 40 minutes and I was like, all right, sure, I get it. Like, I'm not gonna, this wasn't my thing.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll see that one soon.
So like in terms of like the goofy Coen canon, which I would say is like Raising Arizona, Hudsucker Proxy, and this, like A Serious Man and Big Lebowski, like kind of like are around there, but those are the only three that I would say are like cartoons. This one is just like it's really quaint in a way that those other ones aren't. It just feels so open. Like the Coens have always kind of had this thing where they're a little bit of like nihilists in a way. Even Fargo is the one where it feels like they're very like they're more so hopeful, but even that is like, oh, you just did it for a little bit of money. And this movie, just there's something refreshing about seeing the Coen style applied to like a queer relationship, and one that has like a fun ending. I don't know. It was just I've also like I've had an idea to write a script similar to this, and it's like cool to see probably the people that are the best at that, like the crime caper, do that. I don't know. It is a movie that very much plays to my tastes. So I don't know if I'd say like objectively it's incredible, but I was never bored. I was never I was always happy to be watching it. It's just such a fun, light, enjoyable movie. It's like candy.
Yeah, yeah. It also does play to my roles, right? Obviously, a sapphic film is very cool to me, and it's short and snappy, and I do love the Coen's other films, and I love that sense of humor, especially when it does go extra nuts.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised at how relatively little it gripped me that much. There are a couple Coen brother films that I haven't seen. I haven't seen True Grit or Hudson River Proxy or a couple others that I can't think of. But regardless, I don't know. I think it just wasn't like very thought provoking or like interesting to me in like the way that something like even like A Serious Man would be. Like, that's a really strange, bizarre film with like a weird ending, and it's like kept me thinking. Whereas with this one, I just kind of like watched it and then I was done, and I just haven't really thought about it all that much.
Yeah.
Despite having enjoyed it definitely while having seen it.
I've thought a lot about the psychedelic sequences. I just think that's a fun
that
gag.
was fun. Yeah.
Like there's moments that I just keep like that I'll like see a character actor or whatever, and I'll be like, oh yeah, like I don't know. It's just the little jokes in there, like the Blue Bayou scene, like that needle drop really made me laugh.
Wait, which needle drop?
It's the Linda Ronstadt, like when they're in the soccer party. Soccer team's party.
Yeah.
Just hearing that, I know that like I like that song a lot, and it was just a funny choice there. I also thought I always like when there's a secret Matt Damon in a movie. Like I knew he was going to be in this, but it's fun when he shows up in the last 20 minutes.
He plays that role well.
Yeah, he really does. I don't know. It's it does everything I feel like it could do really well. Like there's nothing I could ask more from that movie. And you're right. Like it's not like a profound or poignant thing, but it's also cool to see like queer schlock in a way that doesn't feel super exploitative. Especially knowing. Have you heard about Trisha Cook and Ethan Coen's marriage?
No, I have not.
So she gave an interview and was like, yeah, before I met Ethan, I was a lesbian.
Oh, interesting.
And then I dated Ethan and we got married, and now we're in an open relationship. So like it seems like they also like are, I mean, at least she co-wrote it. Like it's cool to see a queer perspective. I don't know. It's just it's a like I said, it's like a souffle of a movie. It's very light, very airy, but it tastes great.
I think where the writing really stood out to me as like especially high quality was just in like the characters, and I mean like as usual for a Coen film, but the characters and the character dynamics between the main two characters and like the two cop guys that were following them the whole time, and like these way over the top villains, and like all of that was just, it was very entertaining to see them talk to one another. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Margaret Qualley. I mean, everyone talks about it. Margaret Qualley's so great in this movie. Yeah.
She sold the like super over the top accent pretty well, I think.
Yeah, it worked in that movie, and it's also the thing they do in Raising Arizona, where like you buy it, and I don't know why. There's no reason you should, but it like the super crazy Southern accent does work.
Yeah, especially like creating a character when it's such a well-known actor, because I'm thinking of, you know, the two leads in Raising Arizona, and I think those are some of like their most convincing roles, weirdly. I guess the Coens are very like American filmmakers.
Oh,
like,
for sure. I don't think they've made a movie not set in America.
I think the closest they've come to that is like Hail Caesar with the Russian bits, but even still, that was in America.
Yeah.
But yeah, they clearly like take a lot of inspiration from their life living, like, if I had to guess, in America, in the Midwest, in Hollywood. You know, they write a lot of stories that are specific to that I find fascinating.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the first times like this is the most contemporary they've been in a while. Because I'm thinking like Ballad of Buster Scruggs, obviously period piece. Hail Caesar's a period piece. Llewyn Davis, True Grit, like all of these movies, and this is still, it's set in the late 90s, but it is interesting to see them like talk about modern or at least semi-modern issues, and it's like very anachronistic too. It does not feel like
Sure.
it is set in 1999. You know?
Yeah, it was kind of hard. I was trying to keep track of like at first like exactly how this was and like where we were standing time wise. I guess also in the 2000s there was like what was it, Burn After Reading, which was contemporary then, but I guess it's kind of aged as like its own thing.
Yeah, I always forget
from,
about
like,
that movie.
being set in the 2000s. Yeah, that was a good one. It's not like my favorite, but it has some very entertaining moments.
Yeah,
like
the Brad Pitt
the reveal at the end. Actually, it has a very similar reveal to the one in this film of what's in the suitcase.
Yeah.
That's comedic. I guess I don't want to get too spoilery.
Yeah,
so
I don't
I'll
want
just
to.
say
It's a great reveal in this movie.
It is in both of them, really.
Yeah. Also, I also don't want to spoil it, but the best Burn After Reading maybe has my like favorite shot in any Coen's movie, even though it's like in the lower tier for me, which is the Brad Pitt closet. I don't want to say more than that, but I replay that all the time. It's so funny.
I have seen people use that on Twitter a bunch and post it. It's quite entertaining.
Yeah,
it's a good movie. I'm gonna give Drive Away Dolls a 7 out of 10, maybe like a light to decent 7 out of 10. Definitely like on the lower end of Coen's for me, but I guess I'll just have to see how I feel about it later and how I feel about it also, especially because Ethan Coen is doing 2 other movies in a similar vein to this, so that'll be exciting.
Yeah, I think I gave it a 9 on Letterboxd. That's probably a little high. I'm gonna give it like a very solid 8 of just like great time.
Yeah. That it's probably a cool like hangout movie as well.
Yeah.
For the film that you recommended from last week, we've got a very different vibe.
Yes.
Do you want to introduce this film?
Yeah. So I don't even remember where I heard about this movie. But we're talking about the movie Demonlover from 2002, I think. Starring Connie Nielsen. Well, let me look it up.
Oh yeah, I forgot IMDb exists.
Yeah, that's Connie Nielsen.
Demonlover 2. Yeah.
Gina Gershon, Chloe Sevigny, Olivier Assayas, I think is how you pronounce his name. Not what I would call a normal movie. You're not going to see a lot of other movies with a vibe like Demonlover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's dark and like hard to follow and nihilistic. It's, I don't know, I guess like to give a plot synopsis without spoiling too much, it has to do with the pornography industry online and in animation and in Japanese animation.
Yeah.
And in the first half of the film, it's sort of dealing with like the ethical boundaries between the a human body and how it's being used, and capitalism's effect on that, and like the line being thinner and thinner between them. And then in the second half, it's
Videodrome in the second half.
Yeah. It gets way more like Cronenberg-y with also, what did you think? I'm completely blanking on the name. Actually, let me pull up the name of the character again. But what did you think about the acting in this movie? Because there was one actress who I did not like at all.
So, I think that I don't know how to describe the acting in this movie because it was all over the place. Like I think it's generally, since it's just such a strange movie, script wise, none of it bothered me just because it's interesting to see people do stuff. I wouldn't call it like my favorite performances ever, but I think generally it was fine. I feel like I remember your review. Are you talking about Chloe Sevigny?
It was. I believe that is the character who it was. I think she had like blonde hair or something, or white hair or something. But yeah, the acting in this movie is not unlike Showgirls by Paul Verhoeven, where it's like, what were they like?
Yeah,
I don't even know what they were supposed to do with this script. But I still think that it works really well for most characters.
Yes.
Except for hers. I don't know what it was, but like every time it would annoy me. And the scene in the car where like she pulls her over into the underground parking lot, I was just like, that was like annoying to me, even though I don't know, it technically made sense. It was just like annoying to me that the characters were making these decisions, and also I think at some point it's just like, this was the first film in years where I have had to like look up a plot synopsis to figure out what was going on by the end, because like I knew that some of it was like by the character's choice and some of it was not, and then the ending, I think, leaves like the actual reality of the situation sort of ambiguous, because it's obviously bad for the main character, but like then it's sort of like a reveal at the end with the computer screen. Do you know what I'm talking about? How it's like CGI.
Wait, it's CGI. Hold on, I didn't know about that.
I'm pretty sure the last shot, like when it's on the computer screen, I'm gonna pull it up again. Demonlover. I'm pretty sure, but the last shot when it's on the computer screen, it is like not just the picture of her. It's like a CGI thing.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I could be wrong, but
maybe it is. But I didn't get that was intentional. I might just be. I mean, I watched this movie like a month ago, so I could just be a little vague on it.
Oh no! Okay, here's what it was. She is in when she is like in the room normally. She's just like in a complete black suit, and then on the computer screen, she is in like the costume. Like the superhero costume.
Huh.
And that, okay, well, this is getting a little bit spoilery, but I don't know anyone who would be listening if they haven't already seen the film.
And this is also a movie that's like, it's not, like, it is a twisty thriller in a way, but like, I feel like it's very much like an essay of a movie. It's not necessarily like you're going to be gasping at twists and turns. It's more about what they mean in the context of the whole thing.
Yeah. Lots of like, it's a double agent here and a, secret person there, and there's a mole and there's whatever. And then, but yeah, when I'm going through it all, even if I don't know exactly what's happening, I get what the filmmaker is going for, which I think is a very difficult thing to pull off with a script like this. Yeah. So that's like super impressive. It very much makes me want to rewatch it. It's definitely the kind of movie that I like want to go back to multiple times, like in a year, maybe more, maybe less.
Yeah, I think it's, I would definitely rewatch it. I also think it weirdly would be like a good group watch.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a certain element of like, it's a little campy. So there's a good like getting together and trying to figure out what's going on with other people.
Yeah. Obviously, if you're with the right people, like seeing it with someone who hasn't, but if you already have, then it maybe be fun to just like see their reactions, but definitely not for most people. Well, have you ever done that thing where like people are over and you want to put on a movie and you think it's like a good call and then it isn't?
Yes.
Because I've done that, and I so want to be right, and it's like if I put on, like I showed my friends Whiplash, and I was like, all right, perfect, that's a good movie that people liked. And then another time we had a bunch of people over, and I showed them Magnolia, and I'm like, yeah, no, people like that, people are gonna like this. This is like a good movie. And I forgot how most of it is just like people yelling and crying, and it's over 3 hours long, and I was like,
yeah, I don't know how great Magnolia would be as a group watch. I did that.
Damn it,
yesterday, actually, I saw it.
Oh, nice.
I saw it at the theater. Oh shit, I shouldn't say that.
Well, I can censor it out for doxing reasons.
I saw a movie at a movie theater that will go unnamed. Last year at Marienbad, I think is how you pronounce it. That is like kind of like post French New Wave. I guess it's pre. It was 1961. That's like really abstract, and I got people to see it with me. I didn't know what it was going to be about, and they were not like, they're not big experimental people. So I was sitting there, and it was like, oh, did I make a mistake here? And surprisingly, they liked it, but it was the type of thing where I was like, this was not a good idea. I feel like I'm trying to think. There's one movie that I'm blanking on that's also happened. That's similar to that.
I don't know if I've done that in a movie theater before, actually.
Yeah, it was only because it was playing on my birthday. I was like, all right, I'll go see it.
Nice. Oh yeah, I should see if there are movies playing. That is a fun thing to do. I'm glad that there are theaters in our city that still show old movies.
Yeah, I love a good rep screening.
God damn it! I wanted to pull up which movies that I've seen in theaters, but obviously I can't because Letterboxd is still down. Regardless, Demonlover is a great film. I think my main takeaway from it, like thematically speaking, the message of what it's all trying to say or what exact point they're trying to get across, I think is, I think that last shot with like the kid in the room is very telling of like the reality that we don't see for the whole movie. There is this like element of people who are complicit in this that like don't feel anything. They don't. There's no what's the word I'm looking for? Like
culpability.
There's there's no reason for people to believe that what is happening is a negative thing. And obviously we're living in a very different world now than in 2002. Yes. And it's like a lot of the moral quandaries of things like pornography are still, or I guess maybe developed as the internet has developed and as the internet has become more like, governed and like strictly made with strict rules and whatever, but like there's still so far to go, and like so many people being exploited, and it's like there's always going to be a market for that.
It feels like a movie that's very much about how the internet has shifted capitalism, like, and it's very like prescient in that way. It's definitely a different world than we're living in, but it also is so it's kind of scary how much it predicted in the way of like there's a certain economy to people's lives and information and wants that changed with the internet, that now it's not necessarily like consumerist in the same way. It's more the actual desire itself being profitable, the actual time itself, instead of the things that you use with that time. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a very abstract thing. I know what you mean. But it's
even something just like streaming services. They always want to have as much content as possible. It's like the attention that TikTok takes away from everything else because it's so good at, grabbing people's brains' attention, or, addictive games, whatever. You get the point. Anyway, continue.
It's just, it's hard to describe. I feel like it's weird because I think it's like kind of, it feels like it's 2 points that it's making. Like one point is about like very specifically the exploitation of women in porn, but then it also thinks,
and then
like,
further in other spaces with like obviously it shows the woman being kicked out of her job in the office.
Exactly. And then the other part feels like it's just using that as like a baseline. I don't. It's a very uneven movie. Like I think that it's a mess. It's a giant mess, but it's really interesting. I don't know. I wish that there was a little bit more cohesion in what it wanted to say, because it is like there's a certain element to it that feels like, all right, the ending feels very much like a stylistic choice, and like, look at, this is like, look what's going on here, and then it doesn't connect fully with me to the rest of the movie and what it feels like it was talking about with surveillance capitalism. And
when you say the ending, do you mean the shot with the kid in the room, or do you mean the car crash?
I mean like the like car crash and like the main character suite. I think the shot with the kid in the room is really like is good. Yeah. I just want to point out that there is one of the funniest sentences in this movie, which is Laura Croft sexslave.com. It's
Oh, yeah.
it's crazy that happened in a feature film with like acclaimed actors in it. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. And it was also interesting how, like, away from the Japanese animation scene, it got, like, relatively quickly, you know what I mean? Like, you basically don't hear about it at all in the second half, which I guess could be making the point that maybe the culture in Japan, but then also, like, within everything surrounding that sort of animation, pornography would be, like, a gateway drug into these darker, more dangerous spaces
Yeah,
for people.
it also does feel like there's a certain comment being made about the way that Americans specifically, and I guess, people generally, but Western countries, like, employ Orientalism and, like, kind of fetishize Japanese and non European / Western cultures. Like, it's in how that also plays into this element of exploitation. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I just completely blanked on what I was about to say.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It is funny considering that it's a French film, though, as perverted and fucked up as the French are.
Yes. Yeah. It's a pretty fucked up movie.
Yeah, it doesn't even necessarily have, like, directly to do with any reason to America, but it's like it definitely does.
No,
I mean,
yeah.
at least I connect with it. You know what I mean? I understand what it's going for. It's kind of universal at this point.
Yeah. I feel like they've even, like, there's a lot of boardroom meetings in this movie, which I love, and I feel like they do talk about, like, American markets.
Sure, yeah.
So
it's a large thing.
Yeah, I think there's definitely comments on America being made. Yeah, I don't know, very very bizarre movie. Like, in not just in, like, the content, but in, like, the way it's made. It's sterile, I guess is the easiest way to say it. Like, there's less liveliness than it seems like there would be with such a wacky premise. It's very much like fluorescent lights, people talking in rooms, and then there's the last, like, 15 minutes, which goes off the rails.
In a literal sense as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know, like, how... I don't know what actually I am supposed to take away from it if it is so negative and pessimistic and kind of nihilist. Like, it's hard to see the framework of humanity
Yeah.
that is, typically found in a film. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like we're both kind of lost for words here. A little bit.
It's not an easy movie to talk about.
Yeah. I'm glad that you showed it to me, though.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I'm glad I watched it. It's
It's very much up my alley, I will say.
It is.
It's very much something that yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, if you or anybody listening wanted to watch a film that is sort of like this, but not quite as messy and complicated, I also recommend watching the film Magical Girl, which I just saw finally, and is really great. And it's I guess I won't say much. Don't read, like, any plot synopsis or any, like, taglines or whatever. Don't read anything about it. Just know that it's a very bleak, dark film that has, like, a tangential relation to anime, but, like, it's not about that. It's really just about, like, how disturbing and fucked up people are, and what we have to do to make money and what we have to do to live.
Is it 2014?
Yeah, from 2014.
Yeah.
It's
I'll have to
a
check that
Spanish
out.
film.
Let's see. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I would highly recommend that one. That kind of underrated. I think the director also made a film more recently that I haven't seen. That was from, like, 2020 or 2021 or something. Anyway, for I guess we can probably just make this episode a little bit shorter because I'm, like, at almost 15 minutes here. For Demonlover, I'm gonna give it a strong 8 out of 10, but it doesn't feel like the kind of movie that I can talk about too confidently on only one viewing.
Yeah. I would say it's like 7 to 8 in that range for me. There are elements that I love and elements that I feel like it could just, like you said, it's kind of nihilistic, and I don't love a nihilistic movie, especially one that like with no romance. And this movie has no modicum of hope in it. It's a very very bleak movie.
Even in something like a David Lynch film, there is more of like an element of like in Lost Highway, there's a main romance love interest. In Blue Velvet, obviously there's that connection, and in whatever. That was just another comparison stylistically that I would make is to David Lynch's work.
Yes, it's a lot less emotional than I think David Lynch usually is.
Yeah, it's more European.
Yes, very European, very Cronenberg-y. Yeah, cool movie.
Yeah, still a good movie. And I am glad that I like that. I wish that I could pull up the list though of fucking movies that I wanted to recommend on the podcast. I could just like tell you what I'm gonna do later when it is up, and like I don't have to. I could just like put it in the recording.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
I'll put it in the recording later. Oh no, I remembered which one I want to talk about. I want to talk about a film that has shocked me in many ways, even just on one watch, and I think might be the biggest like enjoyability disparity between our two like scores, like how much each of us liked it. I think this might be the biggest disparity, and it's Old by M. Night Shyamalan. I've seen 7 of Shyamalan's films from this year alone, because I'm just like fascinated by his work, even when it isn't good. I just like I just want to know what it is like, and that is a movie that I kind of hated, and I think it's fair to say that you kind of loved.
Oh, I love that movie. I think that movie's kind of incredible in a very weird way. It is incredible, but yeah, I need to rewatch it. So if that would be a great one to do next.
That is a good suggestion. Then cool. All right. Well, for the viewers at home, then thank you for listening. Sorry, this episode is a bit shorter than usual, but whatever. The next one we'll probably talk a lot because we'll be talking about Dune and Old, and then I'll have plenty to discuss there.
And M. Night in general. Just gonna
M. Night, M. Night Shyamalan's Dune.
Oh, that would be a movie.
Yeah, that'd be a movie. Thanks for listening and watching.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel and drop a like while you're down there, or if you're listening on Spotify, then maybe give us a rating and tell us what you think, or tell us about movies that you'd want to hear us talk about that you might find entertaining. Regardless, thank you for making it this far, and next episode will be out sooner than this one was out.
This one had a lot of delays.
And that's a promise.
Yes.
That's a MacGuffin promise.